from screen to shelf.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a very special From Screen to Shelf episode. It is our 30th episode, and you guys really liked our best 4K Blu-ray transfers episode that we did. It's actually our highest performing episode ever. So applause, imaginary applause. We're super happy about that. So we actually wanted to talk about it more because we felt like we kind of gave the standard umbrella, the one that you're going to go into most forums, most threads or servers or whatever. And most of those that we put out there are probably the ones that you've kind of heard talk about. So this one's going to be a little bit of a more varying list, a little bit more catered to our personal taste, and I'll probably try to find some niche titles to throw in there as well. So I believe we all picked 3. We might have some honorable mentions or some, like I've got one that's pretty synonymous because of what it is. So it'll be actually 2 in 1. But without further ado, I'll go with Gabe to open us up.
Oh, I get to open it up. Sweet.
Gabe.
Well, let's just do this one because I brought it up and you guys already know it, and I think it probably would have been on your list too. I actually went with Arrow's RoboCop, and this is because I don't know what's taken me so long to watch it, but I literally saw the transfer I think it was a few weeks ago, and I texted Chace right afterwards too. I think, or we had talked about it, and I was just like, dude, this is probably one of the best, if not you can argue it's the best looking disc I've seen in a while. It's freaking phenomenal, dude. That disc is just so, it's not only faithful to the movie, but it's like watching it in a different way. Like I started noticing things I hadn't noticed before. The HDR on it is freaking killer. I don't reference resolution and clarity that much with 4K discs because I think a lot of 4K is just the HDR and all of that. But I mean, even with the uptick in clarity too, like there's just some details there. And not only that, but even with the weird kind of CGI effects with the big robot things, like that still looked, it still looked good. A lot of times, like when you get these like 4K uptick in resolutions, a lot of the special effects start looking like really wonky and bad. I think that it still retained a lot of the special effects, the practical effects. It retained a lot of what the movie was, but it just gave you that fresh experience with RoboCop. And I think that's what you want when you get a 4K transfer. You want to see the film in a new light, but you want it to be faithful to what the original film was. And I think RoboCop is honestly like the perfect example of that.
Yeah, that's really well said. And especially like I find it charming how you can see the paint even better on his suit. Like you can see the imperfections on there. It's really charming. The gunshots, just kind of the
you can talk about the audio, right?
Yeah, like the comical aspects of the audio and everything like that. I'd have to say, outside of one that I actually picked, that is another Arrow title, that it would have to be one of the best ways, and they're almost kings at this. I'd say Second Sight is a very close second, but Arrow has the sheer volume on their side. But Arrow really is the king at preserving what the film, if we had modern technology, and this is probably how they wanted it to be intended to be shown in a theater.
Yeah.
Right. How they wanted us to consume it on home media, everything like that, with the clarity, the audio, everything like that. And the stop motion scenes, like to your point with the special effects, like the one where like RoboCop's tussling, I forget, what is it, like ED-100 or something like that?
Yeah, I forget the name of the robot thing. Yeah.
But it looks so goofy, but then you can see whenever RoboCop's just literally an action figure, the difference in him. It's just so comical and charming because as I get older, I appreciate the comedy that's in this movie so much more. It's actually one of my favorite movies of all time. So I'm happy you checked that one out because that is literally probably my most rewatched Arrow one. Like I probably drop that in every other month or so since because it came out almost 2 years ago now. I want to say it's been out for a couple of years.
It's been a minute. Yeah, and it's been sitting on my shelf, and I don't know what took me so long to to pop it in. But honestly, man, I'm glad that I did, just because I hadn't seen RoboCop in a few years. It's actually been probably like 4 years since I'd seen RoboCop, so it's been a minute, since I'd watched the movie, and it's just, I was just like, this is like a whole different experience. It's like in a different league, dude, and I loved every second of it. This is what I want from 4K transfers. You know, I want that, I guess, that faithful kind of vision that's it's just passed on to the next generation, so to speak, right? It's not like crap. I'm not going to get into the James Cameron stuff, but it's, you know, it's not that. It's just like, you know what, we're going to be faithful as possible, but also bring you a new experience while we do it. And that's honestly probably one of the best discs I've seen in probably the past few years. I think it's 2001 League, to be honest. I don't know. Will, have you seen it?
I wouldn't disagree.
Yeah, of course.
He is RoboCop,
I've had that disc for a while. In fact, I don't have the LE. I get the Steelbook.
Oh, nice.
So I've had that for a little while. Actually, that's one of the first Steelbooks that I think I got that Arrow had put out, and they don't really put out many. They did a couple with like some LEs, like I think True Romance. They did one, and
Silent Running.
The movie I'm thinking of, Wild
They did
Things.
One for Silent Running.
Silent Running too.
Yeah.
But RoboCop's a classic, dude. It's been about probably like a year, a little more, since I've seen it. I didn't think I watched it last year. I think I watched it in 2022. But it was that same transfer. It's incredible. And I got to shout out what Chace said about the audio track as well. I know we're talking about the transfers, but the audio I think is just as important. And they did a fantastic job with that. Like all those little subtle moments. And it just, I don't know, there's just certain scenes that make me laugh more than they did before, or like stuff that I never remembered. Like when he's fighting the, I don't know who the actor is, but he's the father from that 70s show.
Oh, yeah. Like the ending scene where they're like in the construction site or whatever.
Well, he's throwing him around and he's like, I forget what he says, but RoboCop says something to him, and then he picks him up and throws him through a fucking glass window. And he's like, as he's flying, he's like, "Oh shit!" And it's just, dude, it just looks so funny, dude. It's just the funniest thing because it's like they just captured that moment like perfectly in terms of the audio quality. Like you just hear him screaming like shit, like as he flies through this glass window. It's just,
and it has that effect to it.
Yeah, like the slow kind of pan. Over.
It's like the pan as you see him flying through the window as he's screaming like, "Oh shit!" Like it's so, I forget what he's saying. He's like in the middle of some kind of like a quick conversation.
Yeah, I remember that. I think that's like when they bust him in the drug factory. I think that's when he's like fighting him. Yeah, I think that's the scene you're talking about. And there was also another funny one with the who's that dude that gets like the acid all over him, and like, you know what I mean, he starts like looking gross and everyone's like, "Get away from me."
Get
away from me. But I mean, like, even looking at the practical effects with that, it's just kind of, that was a moment that made me chuckle. Just everyone's like, "Get the fuck away from me." It's like, dude, this movie, I mean, it's a fun movie, but I think that it was just so well preserved. And I mean, I knew you guys would pick RoboCop too. We were kind of talking about it before we rolled. I think that's one that a lot of people hold to high regard. So if you have not seen it, if you haven't seen the transfer, don't be like me and wait like, a year to watch it. Like watch it now. But that would be my pick. So Will, what's yours, man? Well, welcome back to Will, by the way.
Welcome back, Will.
He's been gone for a minute. Yeah, we got the full squad today.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I've missed being here. I know you guys have done a fantastic job of holding down the fort, in my absence. But yeah, it's good to be back. Work and life, taking center stage lately. I've just been so busy. But yeah, it's good to get back.
Yeah,
man. But yeah, we're here talking about physical media, so I can't complain. But as far as my pick, I tried to go a little more obscure this time around. But I'm going to start with. I wouldn't call this an obscure movie, but it's definitely more of a boutique release. I don't think we spoke about this one last time, but I picked Roadhouse.
Nice. We watched that together in a way, didn't we?
We did. Yeah, we did.
Did you guys do like a Discord screening
watch party
or what?
Yeah.
Oh, watch party?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it was a watch party. But dude, I think this transfer is fantastic. In fact, I think this is one of those transfers that's so good. It just made me fall in love with this movie more than I thought I would. But I had seen the movie before, obviously, but I just think they did such a good job with the transfer that it just gave new life to this film.
I agree.
Another one I'm going to mention, maybe I'll save it for this episode. Maybe I'll save it for a part 3 if we end up doing a part 3. But there's a film that was released more recently that had the same effect on me. I had seen it the first time and I had loved the movie, but it was the color palette and the grading that they used for the film. It just didn't stand out to me. And the more recent release of that movie that I won't mention it right now, but it had a similar effect to Roadhouse. But my point with that is it's just funny. You watch a movie, on a different format, whether it's a Blu-ray or a DVD or a VHS, and with HDR and UHD, it's just amazing the capability that we have right now to kind of see these movies in a new light. And that's really important for a lot of these films, because in a way it does kind of breathe new life into some of these movies that might have seemed, I guess we can say, a little more dull before. And I'm not saying that Roadhouse is a dull movie. It was always kind of over the top, like 80s, kind of sleazy, like very cheesy, like not to be taken too seriously. So it's a fun movie to begin with. But I think Vinegar Syndrome, they really honed in with that transfer. The colors pop, like the scenes in the nightclub with the fucking neon and the lights in the bar. They just really pop. So it just kind of gives it a new look, and it just feels so fresh, dude. It's one of those movies that I just love watching. Like I could watch it with the sound off and just enjoy it visually. So I want to just shout out Vinegar Syndrome's edition of Roadhouse, and this is the LE, but pretty sure it's available now on a standard for anybody that's interested. But even if you're not the biggest fan of the movie, I think this is one of the best-selling Vinegar Syndrome limited editions.
It's a popular one, man.
They've put out there, very popular. But again, they did a fantastic job with the transfer. I'm not going to really get into the packaging because plenty of people have talked about that, but transfer itself is phenomenal. And again, not a movie that's like one of my favorite movies of all time, but because of how well that transfer looks, like it changes the movie for me in that regard. So that's my first pick. What do you guys think about Roadhouse? Do you guys have any thoughts?
I haven't seen it yet. I mean, let me preface. I've seen Roadhouse. I haven't seen the transfer for Roadhouse.
Let me ask you this. I just had a pop question for you, Gabe. Do you own a Vinegar Syndrome?
I don't think so. No.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
I don't.
Roadhouse
think
is a good place to start with Roadhouse.
Yeah, I've heard good
They're becoming
things
a
about
lot
it.
more digestible over time. They aren't just for the weird and the stuff Will and I consume, but they have a lot of like very mainstream stuff. But yeah, I love Roadhouse. I haven't checked out my disc past that first time. I always forget I have it because, to preface, I have the shelves I have. They have this bigger gap in the middle, and that's where all my boutiques go. I have 6 shelves that line up right over there across my my place of living, my place of dwelling. And right in the middle is all my boutiques. So the Roadhouse, with the way that I have it categorized, is like tucked right there on the very far edge where I can barely see it. So I always forget. Top tier packaging. And I think I gave that movie a 5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. Like, it is just the epitome of a crazy, zany, funny movie that it just doesn't take itself seriously. The actors and everything in there are just having a blast. Everybody there is having fun. It's just a fun movie. I adore it. And Will, to everything that you said about the color palette, it looks insane. I think there might only be 1 or 2 releases that might slightly edge that out, but it's definitely up there with like From Beyond with me for Vinegar Syndrome. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But for its category and what it is, it's a near flawless disc, and the special features on there are pretty good too. Really, really done. Well done.
It's a good pick, dude.
Very, very
Chase.
good. Ready
what do you got for us?
Let me check out my list. I have a list of 12 times. When I went over there to go blitz before you rolled, I put
12.
Yeah, but I'm only doing 3 of them, so I had to decide.
Yeah.
Okay, so now this one is a trifecta because I can't choose, and you'll be able to figure out why.
Excuses.
And it's whenever these came out, they were the talk of the town. Everybody had to have them. And I don't think that this boutique label gets enough credit for the good work that they do. They just constantly get shit on. Scream Factory, Shout Factory. I'm a mega fan of theirs. I just had my Shout Sell order come in, but that's going to be the Laika films. I can't pick between them because the Box Trolls and Coraline is, and I've said it before, and I think I said it in the Most Desired because I had to shout out a couple of animation towards the end, and Mutant Mayhem. Coraline looks like, and I get it with stop motion, but it looks so real. It's unreal. Like it is
Yeah.
crazy. Their set design,
Yeah.
like the grass looks genuine. I would have thought that genuinely they just stuck this little doll in the world and were taking photos of her and then just flipped it really fast and added audio. It looks that good. It really is a top tier disc from top to bottom. I believe that one has an Atmos mix as well. I could be wrong. They don't do Atmos that much on Scream Factory. But for Coraline, the reason I can't pick is I like the movie Coraline a little bit. It's definitely one of those things you think be up my alley more than, I really do like it. But it's not my favorite movie in the world. It has that gothic tone. It's a good movie. I respect it. But Box Trolls is something I find to be so much more endearing. I love the world and everything. And it looks just as good as Coraline. They're both BD100s. They both do have Dolby Atmos as well. I confirmed that per Blu-ray.com. And they're just absolutely insane discs. That is top tier animation. And I will be hard pressed to find another animated disc that comes out and looks that great. I really, really do. And I really do think, like Gabe, I think you had said it earlier on this one, if not another episode, but you were talking about HDR. It's like if people crap on when the animation gets a release. It's like, well, what's the point of the resolution? Like, dude, it's not just 4K, it's 4K HDR, right? The HDR is what just makes these movies in every way, every shape, and every form just look totally different.
Yeah.
What we go and see in theaters, especially when these movies were coming out, they use really high-end display monitors to get this very accurate color accuracy on there, right? And correct me if I'm wrong. Some of these theaters, then if you're going to an old one where their projector hasn't been updated in so long, you're probably not seeing truly what they want you to see. When that Blu-ray comes out, unless it's director's approved, or when that DVD or when that VHS was coming out, we probably don't have the accurate representation. So whenever you get HDR, you have that much broader range and spectrum of colors that they were already working with, that we just probably never see. That might have just became from a very vibrant blue to just a standard blue on our screen because of the limitations of what we're viewing. And yeah, those discs are incredible.
I don't think they do a good enough job of, I guess we can say, mass marketing the benefits of HDR or Dolby Vision with home media. At least to a mass audience. Like, obviously people within the community like us and everybody else that's involved, we know what the deal is, but I just feel like the general public, like more casual movie viewers or watchers, they just don't, some people don't understand.
I think some of that though is correct me if I'm wrong. I think a lot of that is the fact that a lot of these like 4K televisions that advertise HDR are like barely scratching the surface. I mean, if they're even HDR, you know what I mean? And that's what I think most consumers that are getting into the market, they're like, let me buy this like $500, $600 TV because I want to see what 4K is about. And then they look at it and they're like, this isn't anything special, and it's frankly it's not. A lot of times with those panels, I mean, there's only so much that you're getting unless you're looking at an OLED or something like an LG or Sony or something like that. Then you can kind of see the whole HDR thing. But I personally think that's what I've always blamed it on. It's just you see HDR and it's always on these like cheap TVs that really can't replicate the experience.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, in regards to animation, I mean, dude, some of the best 4K transfers have been animation. I mean, we talked about the Spider-Verse movies. You mentioned Coraline. I would say Paranorman, although I don't think Paranorman is as good of a transfer as Coraline when it comes to certain aspects. I do think that films like Coraline, films like Paranorman, and some other animation, they really do a great job of establishing or at least showing off the expanded color palette of HDR.
Same with Cubo.
Yeah. That's another one I forgot about. But I just think that's a really good pick, dude. Coraline, I forgot all about that too. And I remember when Coraline came out, a lot of people were raving about that.
I'm surprised that transfer didn't win awards with the way people were talking about it. I'm surprised it didn't win something. Like, it's crazy. That was the talk for a while. I think literally that was such a strong transfer from Shout that a lot of their releases right after that got really overlooked, and they catered them out, or they staggered them out over 2 months. They did 2 in December, then I believe 2 the next month, and that was Cubo and Box Trolls, and it was Paranorman and Coraline first. I got all 4 of them. They're great discs. But I agree with Paranorman. I find it to be the weakest out of the 4. Transfer and movie wise. I just think it's an okay movie. It's a cool looking movie, but I think it's the weakest out of all the Laika films. But yeah, Box Trolls is my favorite. It's just it's a brighter color palette. It's the complete opposite contrast to Coraline. So, and then you have the goblin. So you have a lot more of like, the texture on the face, and it's immaculate. So that's why it was a trifecta. And I always have to shout out Mutant Mayhem when I can. That's an absolutely incredible animated disc as well.
It's a good pick, dude. I forgot about Coraline. Honestly, our Best Buy nearby where I lived, they were actually like using Coraline for the longest time as like a reference thing for like the OLEDs in the back. It was always playing Coraline. Yeah, I don't know how that works. I don't know who gets to pick the movies, but yeah, that was always playing in the back. Yeah, it's a good choice, dude. It's a great disc. So we're on number 2.
Your number 2, sir.
So this movie it's a fun movie. I like this movie. It's not like, I'm like crazy about it, kind of like what Will said. But I had to go with I Know What You Did Last Summer. I know it's not his favorite, dude. Not, man. When you pop that disc in, I was just like, this is freaking mind-boggling how good it looks. It looks like you're in the theater, dude, like watching this like opening day, like on a film projector. I shit you not. Like it looks like freaking fantastic. And I think some of it is just the transfer itself is like immaculate, but also the Dolby Vision. It's freaking outstanding, dude. It's really it's not the best movie by any means, but it's just like when you pop that disc in, you're like, holy crap, I wish most of these horror movies, look this way. I don't. Well, I think you saw it, right? Like, I was texting you or Chase. I remember the night I was watching. I was texting one of you guys. Oh, you've watched it too?
Yeah, I bought it the day it came out and sold it the next day. Oh, I did not like that movie.
Well, you just didn't like the movie, right?
Yeah, it wasn't anything against the disc. It looked great, but that was also my first time ever watching it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean. It's dude, I mean, the weaknesses are there obviously with the movie, but the transfer I think on its own is just like, fantastic. If I'm just judging it from the transfer, it's just a phenomenal transfer. And I think
agreed.
If you want to show people what a 90s horror flick can look like, I think I Know What You Did Last Summer is probably the best way to do it. I think it's a flawless disc, as much as the movie's like just it's a fun movie. Right. It's okay. I think it had Dolby Vision. I don't remember if it had Dolby Atmos. Let me see. It does.
I thought it had Atmos.
And Dolby True HD 7.1.
Yeah, great disc, man. It's just a weird. It's not one I would just choose right off the bat, but I remember popping that disc in and just watching it. And I think that's the thing with like a good transfer is like, even if the movie's not phenomenal, the fact that the transfer still kind of resonates with you, I think that says a lot about it. And I just wish a lot of these horror movies, especially the 90s horror movies, the transfers we get for those like look like this. I don't know what the hell they did, but it worked. So that's my number 2 is I Know What You Did Last Summer.
That's a good one. Yeah, the movie isn't the best, but I think that movie, like Scream, obviously is monumental for its time. I mean, we don't have to go on about that, but I think I Know What You Did Last Summer. You mentioned like the late 90s, like, and that's what I think of when I think of those movies. Like that was just a time in my life where like I was old enough to start getting into like a lot of different horror movies, and those are the movies that were out. It was like movies like that and The Faculty and Urban Legend, and I think I Know What You Did Last Summer. It perfectly encapsulates that time period and just like the aura, or I guess we could say the sensibilities of that time period. Like even that opening shot, dude, of I don't know what it is, if it's
the beach and everything.
It's like the shot of the camera overlooking the water crashing against the rocks, and you got like that. I think it's like a Typo Negative song. It's like the really like dark like goth rock playing. I mean, dude, it's fucking. I think I got chills when I popped that disc in because I was like, holy shit, like it sounds amazing. It looked incredible. Like that opening shot too, like that's one of those shots that I just remember.
Yeah.
Visually. But Yeah, dude. Sony. I think we've talked about this before, and I'll say it again. I think Sony out of all the major studios, I think Sony is the most consistent
For sure.
with their quality for their 4K releases. They time and time again they do a fantastic job. Again, even if the movie's not as good, because by no means is I Know What You Did Last Summer a fantastic movie, but
It's funny that Chace doesn't like it. I thought he would
fun with it.
totally like that. That's in his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
God, I just found it so slow. I didn't find the twist worth it. Quick 5-second review. But something I will give you about that is I know that was like it's up there with Scream as like being such an iconic movie from the 90s in the horror genre. That's a fantastic disc to just throw in for familiarity's sake, and not have somebody sit there for almost 3 hours watching 2001 or 4 hours for Lawrence. Just like, hey, showcase the format. Unless we talked about Planet Earth last episode, but something that's like somebody get engrossed in, you know what I mean? Memories, nostalgia, get them invested. That's a fantastic pick. Absolutely.
Yeah. And just to finish it off too, I remember because the Blu-ray sucked. I think I have the Blu-ray in
I heard about
somewhere,
that.
and I think the Blu-ray sucked. And I just remember asking myself, it's a stupid question, but I was like, why does this look this good? Like this movie, out of all the movies like that get transfers, you know what I mean? It's like, why does this one look like almost like fucking immaculate?
Right.
That's the effect it had on me, dude. And it's still one of my top discs that I've seen.
Hell yeah. Hell
Awesome.
yeah. Yours is also I Know What You Did Last Summer. Right, Will?
No.
I still know what you did last summer.
Mine is I still know. Yeah. No.
They did
Do
release
even
that,
have?
right?
Oh, I think
Yeah,
they
it's
put out
on-
I still know yet. It's
They
out
did.
on
I haven't
4K,
seen
right?
it yet. Yeah, I still haven't seen
I
it
forgot about that.
Yeah.
I literally, and I buy almost,
I
they
skipped
did.
that one.
Yeah, you're not
I
gonna buy it
skipped
if
the
you
second
sold
one.
the first one. Yeah, dude. The second
No.
one's worse than the first one.
Yeah, the second one's definitely worse.
Stream it. Definitely not paying $24 for that.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
no.
For some reason, that one does not. Fun fact: I've been waiting for that one to drop in price, like for $10 or something.
It doesn't.
Like
Sony's
it doesn't.
don't for some reason.
It's
Mhm.
so
On their
weird,
obscure
dude.
titles, I'm still waiting for So I Married an Axe Murderer to drop, and it hasn't.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's just so weird, dude. If you ever
Yeah.
see it for $10, let me know. But yeah, that's one of the weird
Ping
ones that
you
don't drop.
immediately.
Yeah.
Wait for Black Friday, maybe Black Friday, because I would get it just to have both of them, but I
Yeah.
don't. I'm for $25.
Yeah, that movie sucks,
just
dude.
wait.
That movie's just. I mean, I just want to kind of see what the transfer looks like. I'll pay $10 for it,
Right.
but nothing.
Not 11, but 10.
Yeah, $10. If it's 11, I'm nope.
No,
Out of here. Will, what
Will,
you got,
fire
man?
away.
Well, Gabe presented us with I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is more of a not a modern slasher, but a 90s, early 2000s slasher. I have a 60s slasher on 4K. I mean, you could consider it a slasher film. You could consider it almost like something similar to in vein to either Psycho or Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Black Christmas. It came out years earlier, though. Closer to Psycho. I think Psycho was, what was Psycho, 1960?
8? No, was it 60? I thought it was 68.
I
But
thought
yeah,
it
I
was.
think you're right.
It might have been. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was way later. But this was
1960.
It's a 1964 movie. I picked
60.
Mario Bava's classic giallo thriller, Blood and Blackface.
I thought it was Psycho for a second. The way you were building up, that's why.
I was like,
womp,
yeah.
womp.
Well, it may have been inspired by Psycho, but I think this movie. I mean, in terms of giallo films, this movie is. It's almost like if Orson Welles had his hand in a giallo film, and what I mean by that is just the way that it's shot, the way that it's lit. I mean, I think this is the movie that inspired a lot of other directors in that genre, specifically Argento, to get into giallo films. But Mario Bava, I mean, he's made so many classic movies, but this movie is special to me because it's one of the few giallo movies I think I can show people that actually is considered to be a classic movie that actually has like a lot of wit to it, right? Like a lot of the other giallo films after this, they tend to focus more so on the blood and the nudity and the sleaze and the more exploitive aspects of the genre, whereas this has those elements, but they're much more, I guess we could say it's much more of a sophisticated film in that regard. Like it doesn't stoop as low as some of the films that that were released after this. But as far as the transfer is concerned, I think this is one of the best looking movies on 4K, especially if you watch this on an OLED. Like we talked about Suspiria, the last episode. I think this movie is similar to that in terms of its color palette. I think if you're looking for something that, I mean, not only is it a good movie, it's visually, it's just a treat. I mean, the colors in this film are fantastic. The lighting and the use of shadow in certain scenes. There's one scene I remember where one of the victims, she's walking through this park, or it's some kind of it's like a parkway, and the sidewalk's very dimly lit by this street lamp, and you see the trees blowing in the wind. You see the atmosphere in the back swirling in the darkness, and then the light is just illuminating her. You see her almost like a silhouette, like walking down the sidewalk or running, because the killer's following her. And it's just one of those scenes that, again, because of how good it looks, because of just how good the resolution is, you see all the detail and the leaves blowing on the trees and the smoke swirling in the background. It's just beautiful. It's just a beautiful movie to look at. But probably one of my favorite giallo films. I'd say it's up there with Tenebrae by Argento. So
Nice.
I would highly recommend that if you haven't seen this, to at least try to pick up the standard edition. The LE, I'm pretty sure, is sold out, but there should be a standard edition available. But yeah, I just think it's and it's a BD 100 disc. So
Was that Arrow, right?
that's Arrow. Yeah. So and it's a 35 millimeter scan. So they did some fantastic work with this, but I just think that the HDR really just makes this movie, it just looks so much more rich, like the whole palette. And again, I mentioned like the woman walking down that sidewalk, that night shot, like she's wearing this red dress. It's just stunning. So I would highly recommend this. So that's my second pick, Blood and Black Lace by Mario Bava. By
Fantastic
Arrow.
That one.
pick.
What year did you find out that was? Because so Psycho was 1960, and that was 60.
I think Psycho was 1960. This
Yeah,
was
it is.
64.
64. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen that one. I mean, I think the limited sold out, obviously, right, a while back. Does that one
Yeah.
have a standard?
I think it has a standard by now. It should
Yeah.
have a standard. I can look
Yeah.
that up real quick. But
They usually do on the UK
Yeah.
exclusive ones.
I don't remember if
The
it
LE
was
sell
you
out
or
quick.
Chase had recommended that movie to me.
It
I
was,
forgot who it was.
Will. Remember that was in his top 5 of last year.
Yeah.
yeah, it
Yep.
wasn't my top 5 releases of 2024 or 2023 for that matter. Excuse me. But
It's so good, it's gonna make the list again this year.
Dude, it might.
Like
it might.
double
Well,
dip
we'll
the
see. This
entry.
year, I mean, this year so far, I mean, I haven't received anything that's like blown me away. Then again, I haven't been
Oh.
watching stuff lately. I got to get caught
Yeah.
up on my
been a
watch
great year.
list, which is worse
Don't
than
get
ever
better.
right now.
Yeah, fantastic pick, man.
Yeah.
guys ready for my
and
second
that
one?
movie, Blood and Black Lace, it's a movie where the visuals are so important to the story. And again, like Arrow just does a great job of knowing what to focus on when they do transfers, right? Like they really know how to maintain, or I guess we can say preserve the original integrity of the film, right? Of the source material. So again, they very rarely do they do less than stellar work. And Blood and Black Lace is just another example of just how they've been on just an absolute dominating role, the past few years with 4Ks. So
Yeah. Arrow's on top of their game. Absolutely. Always. They're always killing
Yeah.
it.
Good pick, man. Chase,
I've
what do you
got
got,
one.
man?
I've got one that'll come for a little bit of surprise because I actually think this one doesn't get talked about enough. And I've only watched the disc twice, and you guys will remember why. But this is actually in my top 5 movies of all time. It is a BD 100. It is, I believe it was Lionsgate. I actually was looking it up right here. Yep, Lionsgate. This movie is easily one of their best movies of all time. It has an Atmos track that just it just blows me away every single time that I've watched Requiem for a Dream, and I don't think it gets talked about enough about how good of a 4K that it actually is. because the thing is when it comes to that movie, I'll never watch the movie again.
Yeah.
I mean,
That you and I were talking about though in the last episode, or maybe it was 2 episodes ago. Yeah,
it was pretty recently. Yeah, that movie, it strikes a little too close to home for me, and it's the only movie in this world where I cannot watch it because I will genuinely get emotional from the opening scene. Like it is one of the few movies in this world that has an emotional effect on me like that. And that's why, like, some people ask me, why is that one of your favorites? It's like, because if that movie can do that to me, that movie's fucking powerful, man.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's cinema. That's a fantastic movie to be able to move somebody on an emotional level like that. But the score, which was later reused and made famous by Saw, just absolutely screeches every single time, every transition, whenever they're doing the drugs and stuff like that. The way that the quick shots, the editing was done, while it's also meant to look grungy, it's meant to look also low budget, but it looks so high end and it looks so pristine simultaneously at the same time. It's just a fantastic example. Yeah, I know a lot of people have seen that movie. It's one of the most depressing movies. If you've never seen it,
so I can't watch it. I mean, I can't watch it. I think I've seen it twice.
Yeah,
maybe, and that's it.
Twice is the dosage for this movie.
Yeah,
like, and watch it once and then go back in and see how you feel. Because I do think it's genuinely always worth at least one rewatch, because once you see how it ends, I think it changes how you feel as everything's unraveling. You know,
sure.
It's one of those movies that it does have extremely high rewatchability, but I will.
I'm good on that. I don't know. Yeah, rewatchability to me for that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the, oh my god, what's the movie we did the verses on that you had recommended?
Out of the Blue.
Out of the Blue. Yeah, it's just like that one, dude. I mean, for some reason, I'd say maybe even Out of the Blue. I think it's on that pedestal.
It's on that
like,
level.
I can't.
For sure.
Yeah, I just can't watch it again. But I think that goes to, obviously the power of the movie and all that stuff. Yeah, that's a good pick, dude. I forgot about Requiem for a Dream.
I did, and that's why when I was looking at my thing, that beautiful ass blue steelbook that Best Buy put out, I have it, and it's like, man, I saw it, I was like, man, it's been since that steelbook came out, because I bought the original Amaray when it came out, gave it away in one of the giveaways, I think for the Reddit, and then the Blu-ray came out, and then boom, I rewatched it, and I was like, yeah, you're going in a protector on the shelf into the vault. I'm never watching you again, but you are one of the greatest movies and one of the best 4Ks on my shelf that will never be put back in that player. But it's a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, you're tuning in, and you can handle hard to stomach and hard to handle details. I think that Jared Leto, this is one of his absolute, I think he was in Dallas Buyers Club or whatever. That's a really good role of his. But I still do think that this is his best role. I believe it's Marlon Wayans in a role that you've never seen him take on before.
Yeah,
very different role for him.
Yeah, I've never seen him do anything like this.
And that's why I like the movie so much, because you see him in the scary movies and stuff. That's where a lot of people are familiar with him. He's just such a goofy, non-serious guy. And just transfer aside, like him, and I believe that's Ellen Burstyn that plays his mom, if I remember right.
Yeah, I believe so.
Father,
And that, oh god, I can't even go down that path of talking about her, but it's just such a harrowing adventure.
That was the dynamic that fucked me up the most. like watching this, just
I don't even know if I want to get into the nitty gritty. It's I recommend a lot of people. I don't want to say everyone. There's not every movie's for everyone, but if you haven't seen it, you can get the 4K for such an amazing disc. If you're a reference hunter, I like to call those type of hobbyists in our community. But if you're one of those people that you need to have the best of the best, you can genuinely always find this for under $10. Always. I wouldn't be surprised if you could find 100 plus for $8 a piece on eBay right now. Because that's how I blind bought it. I got it, I think, at a Best Buy sale slip for $9-10 when they used to always do those deals, right? So definitely check it out. Again, warning for people that are just kind of taking us on our word. It has very graphic content. It deals with the very nitty gritty and hard to understand and hard to stomach things of life.
I think that's one of those movies, dude, that it's like, I mean, I get that it's like an R rating, but it's like you could argue. I think you can make the case it could be an X-rated movie.
Yeah, I agree. It literally, if they had
just out of the
things differently.
Agreed. Yeah, I just in the sense of like the I mean, it's an R-rated movie, but I guess the how explicit and just how uh, the impact it has on you, right? I
Yep.
think that's like something that should be taken into consideration. But yeah, it's up there, man.
Yeah, it's up there. It's one of the saddest. It's one of the most thrilling movies I've seen because it keeps you invested. You care about these people. And
Mhm.
Jennifer Connelly, we cannot forget her performance.
Oh yeah, dude, she's
That's an all-time high as well. So definitely it's worth at least meandering into that world for that. But that'll be my second pick. I don't think that movie gets it shows up and sells a lot, but I just don't think the movie itself gets talked about as how great of a movie it is. It's one of those movies you just hear, I watched it once, never again. And I don't think the disc gets talked about a lot. But that's because, again, you probably watched your disc once and you didn't want to talk about the movie.
don't want to, yeah.
But it's a
I'm good on
masterpiece
that.
in my eyes. It is
Was that
a
your
genuine
third pick?
masterpiece.
No, I could
No,
be
that was
wrong.
my second. Because my
Right.
third pick is right here. Actually,
Oh yeah, we're
there
starting
you
with
go.
third picks. Yeah, duh.
Yeah, you're on your third.
Yeah, I'm on my third right now.
Round 3.
This one, dude, you know what? I was looking through my all my movies, and this one it isn't ever talked about, and I want to see what you guys think about it. I mean, it's a very popular movie, but when I remember seeing this 4K, and I'm switching to digital here because the first two were filmed, so this one's shot digitally. I went with Sicario, and there's there's a little bit of bias because I think personally, to me, Sicario is probably one of the best movie of the 2010s. Like I'd probably put it in my top 5 personally. But that disc, for some reason, I don't think it gets. I don't think it really gets the reception it deserves. I think it's a really fucking beautiful disc to look at. I think that the HDR, I think that the resolution, it's pretty flawless. The only issue I'd say, like if I had to complain, I think there's like some judder with it when it does some of the pan desert shots, and like especially when they're on the like the border in Mexico, like you can kind of see a little bit of judder there. But honestly, dude, this movie's like freaking beautiful to look at, and I never really see people talk about it. This is another one that's always like on sale for like $10 or $8, $5 even. Like it's ridiculous, and it's a really freaking, if you pop this in and watch it on an OLED, it's gorgeous to look at, especially with a lot of the darker scenes. The way they kind of do some of the cinematography with this movie, especially at the end with what's his face, Benicio del Toro and Emily Blunt, when they're in that final scene in the kitchen, just kind of sitting there, and there's like darkness over their faces, and yeah, dude, it's just gorgeous to look at. But it's not like a, you know, it's not like one of those like eye popping kind of like, this is, you know, the reference quality, but it's, to me, it's like literally like, I think reflective 100% of what the movie was when it came out in cinemas. I love it, dude. I've popped this disc in like more times than I can count, and I think it's outstanding.
Yeah, I cannot concur for 2 reasons.
Oh, don't say it, dude. Here we go. Here it is. Because you know what's funny? I already knew, because I see Chace nodding. He's like, and I'm like, this fucker hasn't seen it, has he? I'm
When
like,
I have nothing to say,
bro. Like I can tell, like Will's like agreeing, like he's like, yeah, you know, like yeah. He's like, I've seen Sicario, but like with you, I can. You get this glint in your eye of like, I haven't fucking touched.
I gotta break the news. It's in the stack.
Oh my god!
But to my defense, I got it out of the $5 Walmart bin. That wasn't too long ago. That wasn't
there you
too
go.
long
So it is,
ago.
yeah. Dude, I see this movie all the time on sale, and honestly, it is. I mean, maybe I'll challenge you to watch it, do one of the verses, because honestly, it's one of my favorite movies of the 2010s. I think it's so dark and so. I think it just really captures the fucking like the despicableness of human nature in a way.
Yeah.
It's just a really, really great movie.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out, Chace. I second that. I mean, and this was, I'm pretty sure they shot this on the what's the camera? It's the Alexa, Ari Alexa cameras. So I don't know. Those are like 3.5K or 3.6K or something like that.
Oh, wow.
I forget the range of the because they're digital cameras.
You're right. Yeah,
it's a 4K DI, so it's native 4K. So it's definitely one of those reference quality pictures. I just don't think I agree with you, Gabe. It's definitely reference quality. I just think it tends to get overshadowed by some of the other transfers.
For sure.
When people talk about transfers. I don't think it gets enough love. So I do agree with you. I don't think it didn't blow me away completely like something like 2001, which is again,
I don't think it's on that level.
some of the best movies on the format, but I think for what it is, there's an incredible amount of detail. The colors, although they're natural colors, I mean, that's the whole point of HDR and Dolby Vision, is to get those colors as representative as best representing the film as possible on a home video format. And I think Sicario is one of those movies. I mean, I definitely enjoyed the color palette. I was going to mention the scene where he goes to the cartel boss's home. I think that was incredibly well lit, very well shot.
Yeah.
That's another scene that always stands out to me for obvious reasons. You know, we know what happens, but for the cinematography as well, I don't think, and that's our boy Denis. You know, this is another one of his.
Yeah, that's Denis. Yeah.
His film. So I know he's been getting so much praise for the Dune movies that I think, again, Sicario is one of those movies that tends to get buried under a lot of other movies. So yeah, I definitely second that notion. I think you should definitely check it out, Chace.
Yeah, I got to catch up on, I think there's 3 of his movies. I started Arrival at one point. It's just that was a little bit more of the slow burn. I wasn't in the mood for at the point. So whenever it comes to things I really need to pay attention to, I got to make sure I'm in the mood for it, or I'm going to miss the story. That's just how my attention.
I'm just shocked you haven't seen Arrival either. That's
I've had the Steelbook. That was actually I have the original pressing and run for the Steelbook. I bought it. I just saw sci-fi. Oh, cool. That's really awesome. But the other one that I really want to see is that Hugh Jackman one and Jake Gyllenhaal one, Prisoners.
That's a great one.
Oh, dude, oh my god, bro, get out of here! Like, I'm done.
Prisoners is a fucking awesome movie.
Is like, I would even argue Prisoners. If someone told me that's his best movie, I wouldn't argue against it. Like, I mean, Dune's fantastic, but Prisoners is a fucking great movie, man.
And it's original.
Yeah,
which is not to say Dune, he took some liberties, but it's an original concept and everything by him. Which it's just been going. It's just been getting this massive second win since Dune. So like, I've been seeing it a lot more. So that's why I want to check it out.
Well, there's no 4K. I think that's the thing too. Is like there's no 4K for it, and people have been clamoring for Prisoners 4K for a minute.
Hopefully soon we'll get that. I mean, I feel like they should put that out if they want to capitalize on the Dune, because people are going back and watching, you know, a lot of his other filmography. So I'm surprised they haven't put that out on 4K yet, especially with Dune being pretty popular, you know, right now. But I will say this, just one more thing about Sicario. It also has a really good Atmos track from what I remember.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, when they're ramming that SWAT truck at the beginning through the through the house. I mean, it's not a spoiler, it's the first 5 minutes, but they're ramming the SWAT truck through the house, man. It sounds freaking phenomenal. Fantastic soundtrack. Yeah, you should check that. Maybe on the next Versus, dude. I might have you do Sicario just because I there's something about that movie. I don't know why it resonates with me so much. But I fucking love it. It's a great freaking movie.
Hell yeah. I'll give it a check out for sure. It's definitely on the list. Will's third.
Will, number 3.
A movie I've seen, perhaps.
So we're doing 3. Gabe, I don't know if you've seen this.
Yeah, probably
Chace,
not for me.
You have definitely seen it. I'm going a little more obscure here, but this is still a pretty well-known movie within its genre. But I don't know if we've done this yet. I don't know if we've mentioned a film from this label. Maybe we've mentioned it on the podcast, but in terms of transfers, I don't know if we've talked about this label yet. And I think with Second Sight and Arrow and now Vinegar Syndrome getting a lot of love, I think this label, they still do fantastic work. It just seems like they're not getting as much love as Arrow and Second Sight. And I think they're a fantastic label, but the transfer that I have that I want to talk about is for Lucio Fulci's Zombi.
Blue Underground. Is that that's
Blue
a
Underground? This is actually a Blu-ray DVD combo. I have the 4K.
Yeah.
But this Blu-ray DVD combo literally came out like a year and a half, 2 years before the 4K. It wasn't long before the 4K
I like that one
this
better.
version came out.
Yeah,
and this version's awesome, dude. Like, what's that? Yeah, well,
that's
so this is a 4K
BD.
Scan. It's a 4K remastered scan on Blu-ray, but it's a BD25 disc. Now, the image quality on this is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
At the time this was put out, and this is a 3-disc edition, so this was like very popular at the time, especially with these kind of cool lenticular slipcovers. And this is cool, dude. Like Blue Underground. I want to shout this out real quick. I don't see Arrow or Vinegar Syndrome
lenticular too,
dude. It's cool, and they did this with a few different titles, which which I have. We won't get into that now, but I wish we would see some more of this, because this is something that we usually only see with premiums, as you know, Gabe.
Yeah,
So
Premium started doing them, and I haven't seen a lot of Morbius did it.
yeah,
I guess
well,
that's the only one, huh?
I said peak.
Peak, yeah.
peak, yeah. But yeah, we don't see a lot of other labels doing much with lenticular. I think Vinegar Syndrome did it for, what is it, that Invisible Maniac movie? I think wasn't that like the April Fool's
they
thing
only
that they did with the lenticular cover?
Only for the April Fools, but they did it
So shout out to that.
On Blue Underground, to give them some more kudos. They did it the lenticular for Uncle Sam, which I have.
That's true. Yeah, that was another one.
That one looks cool.
But no, the reason I picked Zombie is because, you know, I bought that 3-disc limited edition, and then literally a year and a half later, they came out with the 4K, and I bought it right away. Not expecting it to be that much better, but I got to be honest, it's amazing. Like the detail and the work that they did with this, and this is one of those situations where, like, for example, I know what you did last summer. The Blu-ray was not that good. And then the 4K comes out, and it's like, wow, this is like a completely different movie. It looks that much better. And this is a situation where Blue Underground, they put out the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray looks good. It's probably the best that it looked. And then again, a year and a half later, they put out the 4K, and the 4K looks even better.
Yeah.
I saw things in this transfer that I didn't notice before. Like even the shot in the beginning where it shows like the fog in the city, like you can actually make out like the fog moving through the buildings, whereas before it just looked kind of blotchy on the Blu-ray. And this is a BD 100, so the as far as the space, they have much more space in terms of the data on the disc. I just think that there's just so many things that are better about it. Like from the detail of some of the zombies, like that one zombie that comes out of the ground, he has all the worms on his face, and dude,
it looks so good.
It's just crazy. Like, dude, you can see the little grains of dirt, like in specks, like falling off with like the worms. It's insane. And again, the movie is not for everybody because, you know, I think Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, those movies are much more digestible to a mainstream audience, whereas Zombie, it is a Lucio Fulci film. There is, you know, there's more nudity in this. It's much more violent in some cases. It's more gross out as well, especially that scene with the whole, you know, you guys saw it on the cover there. That's the infamous scene with the splinter in the eye, you know, which is a pretty cool gag. But as you may have assumed, that looks amazing in 4K. Like I said, the level of detail, dude, like you see that splinter, you can see the little specks of like wood that are like just like split. It's just the detail is just amazing, right? And it's like one of those situations where it's like, damn, I didn't think that this would actually get better than the Blu-ray, because a lot of the times with like Blu-ray and 4K, unless it's HDR or Dolby Vision, there's not that much of an upgrade. Like it's not noticeable to most people. But this is one of those situations where it definitely is. And I just wanted to give Blue Underground some love because I don't think that they're given as much credit lately, with Arrow being on such a roll, with Second Sight becoming so popular, and Vinegar Syndrome really stepping up with some of their transfers. So I want to make sure that we keep Blue Underground in the conversation because they do a lot of great work with their transfers. So that's my third pick, Lucio Fulci's Zombie on 4K. So definitely check that out. Anybody listening that hasn't watched it.
Fantastic shout out. Zombie looks great. And I don't know if you mentioned this, but for people that maybe got more curious or probably Googling on eBay, you can get the regular edition pretty cheap. It was their first 4K. So it's still around. It's still in circulation. But that is Italy had very non-existent copyright laws back in the day. So they would make unofficial sequels to everything. So that in Italy
this is the unofficial sequel to it's funny because it's
to Night of the Living Dead. Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
It's worth every second. Man, there's a shark fight in there. I won't say much more than that, but it's one of the best scenes in horror history ever.
The shark fight is awesome. And dude, this is the shit, like people talk about like stunts nowadays. And like, dude, back in the day, like there wasn't any of the bullshit that you have to jump through today to like do stuff. Like these people just did it. They're just like, you know what? We're going to get somebody in the water with a fucking shark And the zombie's just going to fight the shark. It's insane. Like some of the stuff that they were able to capture on film.
Yeah,
But this movie,
so good.
another quick thing about this, the slipcover for this is apparently, I don't have it, but it's incredibly
one of the
rare.
rarest.
So
yeah, I know. It's
for
one of my
anybody out there
few
that's
unslipped.
Yeah.
Because I'm a
that
slip
makes
hunter
Chace,
for those.
that makes Chace uncomfortable.
Makes me
right?
raise my fist to the clouds.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why whenever you pulled it up and I saw that Blu-ray cover, I was about to be like, "How much, Will? What do I have in my?"
He's about to break out the wallet.
Bro, how much does it sell for? Out of curiosity,
Slip, 100 plus.
Yeah.
Oh God, 100 plus, easy,
Jesus,
dude.
man.
Yeah,
Easy. It's their first 4K, and it was one of the biggest horror releases around the time that came out in like 2018. I want to say 18, 19. So it's way out of circulation at this point, but they still release it unslipped. They'd make a ton of money just releasing a slip cover to sell on their website, to be honest.
Yeah, if they put another slip out for it, they'd make money. No question. Easy.
It's one of the rarer ones.
That's nuts. Yeah, it's kind of hard to find. I can't even find it on
I'd
eBay.
say like Blue Underground, they put out a lot of like cult exploitation and a lot, like they put out a lot of like, I guess we can not sleaze necessarily, but like more of that like very cult oriented films. I think Zombie, out of all of their releases, although it is a very violent movie, I think it's one of the movies that like horror fans can get into more easily than some of the other stuff they put out. Because some of the other stuff they put out is definitely more obscure than this. So like this is obscure to some people, like to casual, moviegoers, but I'd say it's a lot more accessible than some of the other stuff they put out. So if you can get into Blue Underground and what they're doing over there, this is one of my first. This is something I would recommend as like a first pick to get into, to kind of get a taste of what it is that they do. So
to shout out two more of theirs, just for people that maybe they've never heard of Blue Underground before this. Two more recommendations I'd give. Again, they're kind of in the vein of Vinegar Syndrome, where you gotta not necessarily have to have a taste, but they kind of release the same types of things to a degree. But I would recommend Toolbox Murders for people that like a more generic slasher and that kind of fest. And then Quiet Days and Clichy is one of my favorite ones of theirs. It's not a weird movie, but it's just very, very day in the life of two men. And here's their adventures and what they do as older teenagers. And it's very, 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 I wouldn't say it's a great movie, but the presentation is one of the best black and white I've seen since the Universal Monsters set. So great shout out. They're one of my favorites, but if people are curious as well, they only release like 2 movies a year. They don't do a lot. They do a lot of Blu-rays, but their 4Ks, when they pump them out and you see that price tag, they're pumping out quality. So don't hesitate.
Yeah, I will say, as far as the price is concerned, it's not like another label that we won't mention on here, where you're paying like $106 for one movie with shipping. But people who are listening and know what I'm talking about will get it. But it's definitely worth the price of admission for Blue Underground, because they do a lot of fantastic work. Their special features are great as well. We didn't really touch on that because we're talking about transfers, but if you're one of those people that are looking for like good special features, they do a really good job with that as well. So I mean, they're up there with like Vinegar Syndrome for me. And again, I think that's one of the reasons why they don't get a lot of love, just because they don't put out as many releases a year, at least on 4K, like Second Sight, like Vinegar Syndrome, and like Arrow. So in regards to their output, they're not up there in regards to like the frequency of their releases, but they're still really, really good releases overall, like 9 times out of 10. So
absolutely. And
Chace to finish us off. Yeah, the grand finale, man.
So I am bringing in another label that we haven't brought up, and actually might even get some, what is this guy talking about, whenever I mention this, whenever I, some fists raised while driving in your car if you're a podcast audio only listener. But I have a Severin movie here, of all things, to talk about. Severin is a brand a lot like Blue Underground, a lot like Vinegar Syndrome, that has, I'd say, damn near a cult following. People pay top dollar for their releases, and I think for good reasons in some occasions. I think they have some misses, but they do have a lot of hits too. So my hit, it's actually one of my most least watched reviews. So that's why I'm going to use this, since our last one got so many views. I'm going to use this platform to spread the gospel. I haven't brought it.
Shameless plug.
The 5 days.
The 5 days. Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
by
Nobody
Dario
talks about
Argento.
that.
Yeah, it is actually a stunning. Gabe, you would fucking love this movie, man.
Yeah.
I kid you not. I think it's on No, I think I've told you to watch it on Tubi, and it wasn't there for one of our verses. Maybe
one of them you told me. Yeah, I forgot which movie it was. It wasn't on TV. Yeah.
Yeah, so 5 days is essentially during like not the Italian Renaissance, but like this Italian Revolution set during kind of like
Oh yeah, I saw your review
conflicts
for
of
this.
power.
Yeah.
Like the conflicts of power, but it doesn't take itself seriously at fucking all, man. Like there's this one part where it's like so there's like this super horny countess, right? Like like the princess of the lands or whatever. And so like one of her guys that she's attracted to gets shot in the leg in the line of fire. And so like instead of going over, she's like, "Oh, are you okay?" And she like starts immediately grabbing for his crotch. She's like, "It's my fucking leg, not my dick that hurts." And this movie is like from the 70s, man. It has the same kind of charm as a Monty Python movie. You know what I mean? Like it felt like Dario Argento's kind of stab at that. But on the transfer level, it looks insane, especially with this being considered as one of his lost or most, like literally on Letterboxd. His Dracula movie has more reviews than this movie. That blows my mind.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's not even a bad movie, but I would think more people would have wanted to watch something, of higher production value and higher quality like this than something like Dracula or Dark Glasses or whatever the case may be. But the 5 days, it just looks absolutely stunning. Everything about it, the audio is absolutely crisp, everything like that. It is only in Italian, so it's not in English for those that really care. So it's just in mono. It's a mono track, but it's just this is probably one of their cheapest titles. I missed out on it. I try to collect everything Argento that I can get and everything Fulci, and it slipped under the radar. And I got this for $20 slipped on eBay. And that's like $30 under retail for a Severin title. So you could very easily, if you want to go in blind, it's on Tubi, I'm pretty sure, as of this recording. I know I've seen a lot of Argento popping up there, but if you wanted to get a really good like timepiece and you want something, you're a bigger fan of film and older movies, you will not go wrong with this. Everything just looks so good. The audio is good. The production, it has to be one of his more bigger scale it's his only non-horror / giallo movie. It's his only one. It's the only one he has done in that vein. But I also wanted to shout out one thing as an honorable mention in the same vein for something that's more recognizable. We did a review on it, but Duel. I wanted to shout that out. Duel, fantastic 4K transfer. But 5 days, definitely give that a shot. That's a phenomenal movie. A lot of people will love and a phenomenal 4K disc.
Yeah, good pick. Nice. I gotta watch it. Yeah, maybe
you'll love
put it in a challenge video and I'll
watch Sicario. You watch 5 days.
I'm down for that. I think I kind of liked this round a little bit more just because I know the first round was just kind of obviously you got your 2001s and Lawrence of Arabia's. I think it's good to kind of get into some of the 4K transfers a lot of people don't talk about because there's just so many out there that a lot of people really don't know about. Just because the movie's maybe not spoken about a lot, or it's it's a great transfer, but it's not 2001 level, and then all of a sudden it gets kind of put to the side. I wouldn't mind even doing, I don't know, I'll talk to you guys about it later, overrated transfers. Because I even have some movies.
I can think of a few.
I have a few that I've
seen. Think of a few. Yeah.
I have a few that I can think of, man, that people have told me, and I'm like, this is not, I mean, it's good, but it's not like phenomenal to me. Maybe we can try to do that for the next one.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea. I agree.
I wouldn't mind doing a part 3 of this either. I think this was fun.
Yeah.
And especially to shine some light on some of the boutique labels. Because, a lot of people that buy 4K, they're buying a lot of the studio discs. But, I know there's still a lot of people out there in the community that don't necessarily buy a lot of the boutique releases. So, I think talking about some underrated or lesser known releases, that's always good. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to coming back and talking about more.
Cool. Awesome. Well, we appreciate you guys for listening and stay tuned for the next episode. Comment down below. Let us know, too, other transfers that maybe we didn't name that you guys think are phenomenal that a lot of people don't give attention to. Comment down below, and we'll catch you guys for the next one.
Appreciate you, everybody.
That's what I'm not gonna say.
You were waiting.
Yeah, I was was waiting too.
You were waiting for it. I was like, nah, I got nothing today.